Hello students, welcome back to my channel. So today's session is a session 3 of the chapter 16, Internet and Open Sources. In today's session, we'll be discussing everything about electronic commerce. We will also see about different kinds of e-commerce. How does e-commerce work and what are the types of e-commerce applications? So briefly, we will be discussing all these things. So let us quickly start about electronic commerce. Now, what is electronic commerce? So electronic commerce is a sophisticated combination of technologies and consumer-based services integrated to form a new paradigm of business transaction processing. Now, once again, remember that when this textbook was published, the e-commerce was just in the beginning state, but currently, right now, what we are living is where we use only e-commerce business. Okay, so that much it has grown. So e-commerce is the trade of goods and services with the help of telecommunications and computers. So all those online shopping you do basically is nothing but your e-commerce. So e-commerce involves automation of variety of businesses to consumer, that is B2B, business to business, business to consumer, consumer to business, and consumer to consumer transaction through reliable and secure connections. All right. So some technologies and services used in e-commerce. So first one is electronic data interchange. So electronic data interchange, which is nothing but EDI. It is the electronic interchange of business information using a standardized format. So why do we need to do the data interchange? So here it allows the company to send information to another company electronically rather than paper. So business entities which conduct business electrically are called as trading partners. So any kind of a data, for example, you are transferring money through Google Pay. Okay, there is some electronic transfer which need to be happening from your bank to the other person's bank. For example, it is from Axis Bank to the HDFC. Okay, there is a communication, electronic data interchange is happening. Other kind of technology can be email. Okay, so that is also another electronic communication that is happening. Electronic fund transfer. Fund transfer, just now, as I told you, may be happening electronically, not necessarily through paper or check. Electronic benefit transfer is happening. Electronic forms, okay, instead of sending physical forms, electronic forms are being filled and sent. Digital caches, interoperable data access, database accesses, bulletin boards, electronic banking, barcoding, 2D imaging, voice recognition, security services such as firewalls, encryption, gateways. Frankly speaking, in today's world, right now where we are using only these most of the time. I can say 80 to 85%. Hardly there may be still people who are going to the bank and using checks and NEFT forms they are filling, but most of us are doing everything through electronic, that is nothing but online transactions. So basically, how does the e-commerce work? So here it is a very old kind of a transaction which has been described. For the sake of the syllabus, I'm describing it. But nowadays, as you can see, there are MPS, instant money transfers, there are Google Pay, there are Phone Pay, everything which is happening. So here there is a scenario which has been explained where a person is using a credit card. Okay. So nowadays, even cards are not being used. People doesn't even use cards. If you have your smartphones, with that only you can do most of your transactions. But here one scenario is being explained. So let us go through that. So merchant submits a credit card transaction to the NMA Pay. Okay, so what is this NMA Pay? Is nothing but National Merchants Associations. Okay, Pay. So National Merchants Association Pay payment gateway on behalf of the customer via secure website connection, retail store, motor center, or wireless devices. So here is a customer giving his credit card transaction. So NPay receives the secure transaction information and passes it via a secure connection to the merchant's bank processor. So National Merchant Association submit the transaction to the credit card network and a system to financial entities that communicates to manage the processing, clearing, and settlement of the credit card transaction. Okay, so that is the system which is used. So once that is submitted, step 4 is the credit card network routes the transaction to the customer's credit card issuing bank. So the customer's credit card issuing bank approves or declines, depending on whether he is eligible or not. It approves or declines the transaction based on customer's available funds and passes the transaction result back to the credit card network. So the credit card network relays the transaction results to National Merchant Association. National Merchant Association relays the transaction result through NPay website. So this is the very lengthy kind of a procedure which used to happen every time e-commerce has to be started. Next is, once that is done, NPay stores the transaction results and sends them to the customer and to the merchant both. This step completes the authorization process all in about the 3 seconds or less. So National Merchant Association sends the appropriate funds to the transaction to the credit card network, which passes the funds to the merchant's bank. The bank then deposits the funds into the merchant's bank account. So this step is known as the settlement process, and typically the transaction funds are deposited into your primary bank account within 28 to 48 hours. That is 1 or 2 business days. It will take for money to come to the merchant. So who is a merchant? From where the customer is purchasing. So there is a merchant who is, and then there is a customer. So customer has given his credit card to the merchant. So all these steps, 1 to 9 steps have happened. After the 9th step, if the merchant's bank has approved, then money will be deposited to merchant's bank account within 24 to 48 hours. So this is how your e-commerce works. All right. Next, quickly, let us go through different types of business e-commerce applications. The first one is business to business. So the exchange of services, information, and the products from one business to the another business is called as a business to business. Next is business to consumer. The exchange of services, information, and product from a business to a consumer. Okay, you can say example is Amazon. And then consumer to business. Customer directly contact with the business vendors by posting their project work with a set of budge online so that the needy companies review it and contact the customer directly with the bid. The consumer reviews all the bids and selects the company for further processing. Nowadays, you see so many homemade things which are being sold in Amazon that you can easily take it as a consumer to business. Consumer to consumer, electronic commerce is an internet facilitated form of a business, commerce. So here what is happening directly between the consumer to consumer. If I had to say that if I'm selling something and I'm directly selling it to my neighbor and he's paying me, that can be consumer to consumer. Okay, there is no business which is an entity which is interfering between the consumer to consumer. So what are the advantages of electronic commerce applications and implementation? So easier entry into new market, especially geographically remote markets for companies of all sizes and locations. We know that if I have to sell my product, I can sell it abroad also. Even now, it is so easy because of the e-commerce. Okay, so that's really geographically remote markets also I'm able to sell. Create a new market through the ability to easily and economical rate potential for customers. I do not have to go there and put a stall there, isn't it? Online, people can watch what I'm selling and they can place a order. So global participation, I will have a global, not just local, global participation, optimization of the resource, reduce time to complete business transaction, particularly from delivery to payment. Buyer makes buying decision, creates the purchase order, but does not print it. Okay, so everything online. Improved market intelligence and strategic planning. EDI software creates electronic version of the purchase orders and transmit it automatically to the supplier. So you do need not have a paperless transactions. You will have a paperless transactions. Supplier's order entry system receives the purchase order and updates the system immediately on the receipt. Supplier's order entry system creates an acknowledgement and transmits it back to confirm receipt. So everything happens so systematically if everything is coded properly, that e-commerce has so many advantages. Okay, so that's all in today's session, students. I hope this is clear. So we discussed today about how does e-commerce work. We saw what is electronic commerce, and also we saw the different types of e-commerce applications. That's all in today's session. Thank you for watching.